This is a fellow we talked to during our radio days, and just a fantastic, not only entertainer, but also a fantastic guy. Jerry Salley, thank you for joining us from your mom's humble abode down in Florida right now. You made news last week with the release of your latest song, and we've been trying to get together with you for the last 7 days, and here we are. Tell us about your new tune.
Well, I'm really excited about it. And first of all, before I forget, I just want to tell you guys how much I appreciate you reaching out to me. How much I love my hometown, obviously, and appreciate you guys. You guys have been there for me for my whole career, keeping track of things and letting folks back home know what's going on. So, Dan, I appreciate you and Mike so much. And you've been such good friends through the years. So wanted to thank you for that. But I put out an album. I actually released my latest bluegrass album last year during COVID. I released it in the end of July in 2020, but I never really got a whole lot of traction out of it until first of the year. So I had one single last year that did pretty good, and then I had a single that didn't do so well. So anyway, I've had this vision ever since I wrote this song. This is a song called I Take the Backroads, and I wrote it with one of my dearest friends in the world. His name is Brandon Rickman, and Brandon is from a little town in Missouri. And for years, he has been the lead singer for one of the top bluegrass bands in the industry called Lonesome River Band. And he and I have written for 15, 20 years together. We're just really close friends. But one day we were writing, and he had this idea for a song, and I loved it. And we got to talking about how similarly we were raised. I mean, everything from the churches we went to as kids to the living out on the farm and, learning how to garden and grow things and, having livestock as kids, and that sort of thing. And we realized how much, we knew how much similar we were anyway. But so we started writing this song, and I really wanted to put a lot of personal stuff in there. Of course, he was wanting to put personal stuff, from his hometown as well, which is only fair. And so we ended up kind of combining our two experiences. I was able to get in Hilltop Mission Church, where I was saved as a 12-year-old walking to church, off the Lumbeck Road. And I got to put in my dad's grave site there up on the hill there off of 23. And I just had this vision ever since we finished it, that if I ever did record it, we wrote the song years and years ago, tried to get it recorded in the country field, and we never could. We had it on hold a few times, but no one ever recorded it. So this last album is actually a combination of about 4 or 5 new things. And then the rest of the songs are songs. One of them I wrote almost 30 years ago that had never been recorded, that I always thought would be a good song, a good country hit. And of course, country's changed. And so they adapt more. The more traditional country songs seem to adapt better to bluegrass these days. So that's what I did. I recorded it. And the minute I recorded it, I had this vision in my head of doing a video on the song. Now, remember, I've been doing this my whole life, and I'm 61 now, and I've never done a video like this in my life where I'm actually in it. I've done what they call lyric videos on songs before and that sort of thing. But anyway, I just really wanted to do something special. So I reached out. I found a couple of young men. I was a little nervous because they're so young, but they came down to North Shore Productions out of Cleveland, Ohio, and met them through a mutual friend up in Columbus, where I'd done some PBS TV shows before. And they were willing to drive down to Chillicothe and spend the whole day with me. And we literally drove around the back roads of Masseyville and Pike County and the southern part of Chillicothe, and captured all the different, I had all these different locations planned out where I wanted to tape. And we even were able to get the meat paper mill, smokestack in there on one shot where my dad worked his whole life. And it just, at the end of it, I had my mom who came up there with us to shoot this thing, and her brother, my Uncle Bud and Aunt Mary. And it just, oh man, I had big old tears in my eyes when I saw it the first time. Most of the time when I do something, I'm such a perfectionist. I'll say, well, I wish I'd have done this, or I wish I'd have done that. This is one of the few things I've done in my career where I look at it and I think, thank you, Lord, this is exactly what I envisioned and exactly what I was hoping to get out of it. And plus, I just wanted to try to do something, the tip of the hat, to my hometown, because I'm just so grateful for where I'm from and how I was raised.
Hard to believe it took 40 years to put that all together,
Well, the truth is I was too cheap to pay for a video till now.
Jerry, these places that are in the video obviously mean something very special to you because it's your hometown. But it's amazing to me, places that I and my family have traveled, like down in Florida. We were walking into a gym to work out one day, and I was telling the clerk, or the receptionist, where I was from. Well, a gentleman to my left heard me say Chillicothe, and he said, Scioto Trail State Park. And I looked at him and I said, how do you know about that? And he said, for years I drove through there to stop at a plant. It was meat at that time. But
Right.
while he was here, he would camp at Scioto Trail State Park. So, and I know you've probably run into that too. You run into people everywhere. Maybe they're not from this hometown, but they recognize it because it's kind of been a crossroads too.
It is. I mean, I know it sounds crazy, but there was a time in my life about 20 years ago that I started thinking Chillicothe was actually the center of the universe.
Yeah.
Because it seemed like anywhere I went, because I always say from, states where I'm from and all that kind of stuff. And it's amazing to me the number of people that know our town and where it is and have either driven through on 23 or have some kind of connection to it, or a relative that lived there, grew up there. They knew someone from there. It's really amazing. And the other thing, I don't know that I should even mention this, but another reason I want to do this so badly was because, we're all certainly aware of what happened a few years ago with the girls who were murdered and everything. And my wife and I I shouldn't say we made the mistake of watching it, but we watched that series and it really broke my heart. I mean, I know there's issues, but see, there's issues in every town, everywhere. And it really broke my heart the way my hometown seemed to be portrayed in this video, in this series. And it just bothered me. And I thought, you know what, I'd love to do something that makes us, look what we really are. We're a great community with great people. And so I was trying to maybe not fix any, that's not the right way to put it, but try to, let people see a side of our town that we know what it's really like. Right. If that makes any sense.
It does.
I got to ask, because you worked Erin's name into this song. You talk about where you stole your first kiss and everything else. Was that really Erin? Was this somebody else in your life?
It was somebody else there in Chillicothe. A little girl named Tammy Cunningham. You might know her, but I couldn't get that to phrase in the song. And we actually had the name of one of Brandon's first kiss. And so, when I recorded it on my record, I wanted to change it. And, when you're writing a song, you have what I try to do. I try to use as much truth as I can, but I also change names sometimes to protect the guilty, if you know what
I mean.
Yeah.
Well, the song is very catchy.
Oh, yeah.
And it just has drawn a special attraction to us through the video by all of the local that you put into it. I think we've got a new banner, so to speak, for Chillicothe and the rural community here in the Ross County area.
Well, I appreciate that very much. That really wasn't my intention. My intention was just to show off where I was from and let people know how much I love it, and to explore, and go down take a memory drive. We actually went up there, that particular cemetery where Dad and Granny are buried. Has not been taken care of real well the last few years. Well, let me rephrase that. It's been taken care of great by volunteers who have gone up there and taken care of it, but there's no caretakers, so to speak, that actually, that look after it. So it's been all volunteers. So when we went up there, we went up a few days before we shot the video and cleaned the grave off real good and that sort of thing. And of course, in the song, it makes it sound like the cemetery is right behind the church, of course, but that was the only way I could make it work. So you would not believe, I've had incredible response from hometown folks, but I've also had incredible response from people all over this country who say, man, I can relate to that. That's how I grew up, And one of my closest friends, a guy named Glenn Duncan, who's a very, very well-known fiddle player in bluegrass, he called me and he was crying. He said, man, I got tears in my eyes. He said, I just watched your video. He's from Virginia. And he's never even been to Chillicothe, but he was like, dude, this is powerful. He kept using the word, this is powerful stuff. And so I never, I didn't realize, I was doing it kind of more for me, my family and my town, but to see that kind of reaction it's just a very fulfilling, thing. It really is.
Jerry, in a digital age, it's hard to walk into a record store anymore and buy an album or a record. How do people get a hold of the song?
Well, the best way they can get it, and the best way for them to get it,
Yeah.
is to visit my website. I have a website, jerrysalley.com. It's JERRYSALLEY.com. And you can buy the album there if you want the hard copy. I'm glad to autograph it and all that kind of stuff. Or they can go to iTunes and you can download just the single from iTunes. And then of course, Spotify, Pandora, Apple, they all carry, you can listen to the song on there as well. But if you want your own copy, I would encourage them either go to iTunes to get the single or come to my website at jerrysalley.com. And I'll be glad to send you as many CDs as you would like to order.
Hey,
Got to pay for the video.
Before we let you go, you got to tell us about the car.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Isn't that a beautiful, that was the star of the video, I thought. My cousin, Mark Frazier, who is a CPA there in town, his first car, y'all, when he lived down on 2nd Street was a 79 Camaro. And they sold that not long after he got out of college. And he has pined about it and wished he'd had that car his whole life. So about 3 years ago, he started searching online, trying to find a 79 Camaro that had been refurbished. And he found one almost exactly like this car up in Columbus. And so he went up there and he bought it. He's had it about 3 years. And that was another thing when I started thinking about the video, and driving around, I thought, man, I need either a cool truck or a cool car. And Mark said, you can just take my 79 Camaro. So I came up with the idea of starting the video with me getting in the car and backing up, to take the ride. And I hope this doesn't sound, I'm so excited about it and so glad at how it came out. I really am happy about it.
Oh, it's a great piece. And we appreciate you taking time. We know that you got to get Aaron and Mom to the beach.
Yeah.
So we're not going to hold you much longer, but we do want to invite once again, when you come back through this territory, give us a call and we'll sit down because you've had a pretty amazing life, my friend. And it'd be neat to share a little more stories with us as well.
Well, you don't know how much I appreciate that. I'm planning on, I finally get back to playing when we get back home from this trip. I'll be in Livingston, Tennessee on July the 15th, and then I'll be in Iowa all the next week, and then coming home for a couple of nights, and then heading up to Columbus for the MAC Festival for Musicians Against Childhood Cancer, which is the last week of July. I'll be performing up there the last Saturday of the month, and but I'm going to come up early for a few days, so maybe I can get a hold of you guys, and we can sit down and talk before the festival actually starts that week.
Sounds good. Jerry Salley. The song is I Take the Back Roads. You want to make sure you check it out. And we'll even try and share a snippet or two if we have your permission to do so.
You have permission to share it all, my friend.
Great to see you, Jerry.
Thanks again.
Great to see you, Mike. Dan, I appreciate both you guys, Mike and Dan. You're the best. I appreciate you so much. God bless y'all.